Hello, SpongicX here, and I just saw season 2 of Animaniacs, the reboot from 2020 on Hulu. And so, yeah, I was pretty excited for this, and I love Animaniacs, and although it wasn't perfect, I actually did enjoy the remake overall, the reboot, I mean. It was a bit of a mixed bag, though. Like, it definitely had some good episodes, but a lot of pretty bland, forgettable episodes, and so season 2, if you were hoping for it to be, like, mind-blowing, I wouldn't go that far. Like, it was still good, though. I did enjoy it overall, but once again, it's more of another mixed bag. It's more of what, like, don't expect anything new. It's more of what you've seen in season 1, but, so, you know, a lot of parodies, the Warner's messing with, historical figures, occasionally some political humor, but not as much as the original, luckily. I thought season 1 kind of went a little too far with the political humor, and it's still there, though, but not as frequent, luckily. So, yeah, unfortunately, you'll still get, like, the Donald Trump jokes. I'm getting so sick of... I mean, it's come to a point where, you know, it's like, God, he's already out of office. Just quit making jokes about him. But, I'm just so... You know, it's not enough just to make fun of him anymore. I'm just sick of hearing about him. So, it's like the first skit you get is basically a loose parody of Trump, except they basically kind of mix, like, Trump's personality with the Roman general Nero. So it's basically the Warner's messing with Nero, but they're clearly, it's like clearly they wanted to be Trump, but they figured, oh, that would have been too controversial, so they basically had to just disguise him as Nero, basically. But otherwise, it's like you can tell, like they even pointed out at one point, like, are we still talking about Nero? And there were some funny jokes in that, though. I did get a laugh at a part where, I'm not going to spoil the joke, but there's a part where Nero gets attacked by tigers, and after something he says, Yakko does the infamous, "Good night, everybody," and just the way it was delivered was really funny. It was like probably one of the fastest delivered ones out of there. And however, one thing that really confused me about this season is, I'm not sure if this was a typo. It must be, because after just binging all 13 episodes of season 2, I really didn't see anything that really, granted it that rating. But so, unlike the original Animaniacs TV show, we all know season 1 was rated TV PG, and it allowed them to get away with some of the naughty humor that they used to get away with somehow. And so, for some reason, though, season 2, all of its episodes are rated TV 14. And so that's basically like the PG-13 equivalent of a TV rating. So shows like Simpsons or Family Guy, a lot of their later episodes, well, Simpsons is mostly PG, but okay. Like, shows like Family Guy, Rick and Morty, Bob's Burgers, those are TV 14. They're meant for, like, ages 13 and up, or 14 and up, I guess. And it just felt really weird to see Animaniacs with that rating. It's like, don't they mean TV PG? TV 14 just feels a little off. Yeah, it felt very out of place. Nothing about this felt TV 14. In fact, I would say Season 2 was a little bit more toned down than Season 1. I remember, Season 1 had some pretty queasy, gross-out humor. A lot of it, actually. And definitely had a few uses of adult language here and there. A lot of innuendos. And so Season 2, it still has a few innuendos. I didn't think it had as many as Season 1, though. And I don't recall hearing a single bad word, unless you count characters saying, "Oh my god," as a bad word. But, so, yeah, I really didn't get that. I mean, there was a part where Yakko nearly said shitty at one point as a rhyme. Like, he was singing, like, he said city, and then he said a few words, and he almost said, they treated the workers you know, and then he gets cut off. And it's like, that was kind of funny, but, so, yeah, I really don't get why it was given a TV 14 rating. It was PG to me. It was no different than Season 1, if not more toned down. So, if you were hoping to see a lot more of the characters from the original Animaniacs, well, you're probably going to be a little disappointed, because, unlike that one episode in Season 1 where they all made, like, an appearance at the end, showing that, yes, they're still alive, this one, it's like there were barely any cameos, so no cameos from characters you haven't seen yet. There were a few minor cameos from previous characters. Dr. Scratch and Sniff returns in one other episode. It was a very short one, though, so he didn't get as much screen time as he did at the end of Season 1, but he was still there, though. And then Chicken Boo makes a cameo as a baby chicken in one skit. I'll get to that later, but I don't want to go into major spoiler territories, because there really aren't any big spoilers in this, unless you count the finale for Season 2, where, unlike Season 1, where it mostly just felt like another episode of the series, it doesn't feel like it's ending and leaving any hints of a continuation or anything. This one actually does feel like a season finale, and they're trying to tease that maybe or maybe not they'll come back, but it was already spoiled over the success of Season 1 that Season 3 is in development. When the show was first announced, they said it was picked up for 2 seasons, but it was already confirmed a year ago. The show has been picked up for a 3rd season, so it kind of makes that teaser ending feel obsolete. We already know that Season 3 is happening, but considering how they announced that Season 3 will bring back a lot of the original characters from Animaniacs, it really ties in well with the ending of Season 2, and I don't know, I might spoil it down the line, it just depends, but it's kind of funny though, but I did get a laugh out of its ending, but so, as for the contents, though, like I said, it's mostly more of the same. The Warners, just harassing some kind of political figure, doing some kind of parody skit, or Pinky and the Brain, the same old shtick. But it's hard to say. Like, there definitely were episodes in Season 1 I really did like, and there were definitely some that were better than others in Season 2. But I'd say overall, though, I thought Season 2 possibly had some of the better episodes. I can't say it had the better jokes, per se, but just the plots were more entertaining. The creativity and the visuals. I will get the worst out of the way, though. The thing that I hated the most about Season 2 is the same thing I had about Season 1, and that was the new skits they had. So, Season 1 introduced 2 new sets of characters. There was Starbox and Cindy, which was basically their version of Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain in a way. It's I just did not like that in Season 1, and I especially hated it in Season 2. It's just painfully unfunny, not interesting. It just sounds like a lame excuse for one of the workers. They recorded their daughter just rambling weird nonsense, and they thought, like, oh, we gotta put this in a show somehow, and it's just really distracting because the audio quality is really bad on the girl, and so they just placed it over this character, while there's this little alien trying to escape from her, and it's just painfully unfunny. It's really boring, kind of cringy, and then the other one is the lawn gnome that bursts out of people's mouths and says what they're really thinking. That was incredibly stupid in Season 1, and it's not any better here. More of the same shtick, and oh god, like, people said Chicken Boo was the worst of the original Animaniacs, and I'll argue those were more entertaining than this shit, but, so, yeah, unfortunately, the new original skits have not gotten any better. We don't get any brand new ones either, so it feels very misleading, because they mentioned how, like, in the intro of the new reboot, how, they have, like, a new cast of characters who were approved by focus groups, and there's barely any original characters here, not even many reoccurring characters. I mean, there is one reoccurring character that I'll admit was a welcome comeback. I'll get to that later, but, it relates to one of the Pinky and the Brain episodes, which I'd say was probably the most standout one out of them all. And so, yeah, I guess that would be a good time to go on to that then. Pinky and the Brain. I already mentioned how, in my first review, how I felt like, while the Pinky and the Brain skits weren't bad, I did feel like they were not as good as the Warner skits, though. And it made me kind of wish that they just made a separate spin-off for Pinky and the Brain. I mean, just make a show about the Warners, have that be the new Animaniacs, and then have, a different team work on the Pinky and the Brain episodes. So that way, you don't have all these Pinky and the Brain skits taking up what could have been a full show dedicated to the Warners. And, I mean, it's tiring to have to keep, like, fast-forwarding through the intros of all these different skits, There's no skip intro option either. They can't even shorten the intro. So, it just kind of makes me wish that they would just make them separate shows. And I mean, could you imagine if that was how, like, every Looney Tunes was, where, like, every time you start, a Looney Tunes episode has to show the same, like, 1-minute intro of, like, Bugs Bunny every time a Bugs Bunny skit comes up? No, instead you just get shorter opening credits. That's more tolerable than skimming through, like, over a minute worth of dialogue and music, and, I don't know, it's kind of tiring, but so, Pinky and the Brain, though, it's like, I liked the first skit in the first season. I thought that was kind of a funny return for the characters, and then I thought, like, after a while, their shtick got a little old, kind of like how I felt in the original show, but I'll admit, I was actually very entertained by Pinky and the Brain this time. I thought they had some very good, very creative skits. So it's like it felt familiar, but it still felt like they put some kind of new spin on, you know, the old formula of Brain trying to do something, but then it backfires because either Pinky messes it up or somehow Pinky gets all the credit for everything Brain is trying to do. Or so like there's one where he's trying to impress all these world leaders, so like Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and stuff like that. And so it's basically a parody of the movies, the original and the remake of Dinner for Schmucks, where the dictators are bringing in like what they consider a fool, basically, to their dinner, and whoever brought the strangest guest wins. And so Brain tries bringing Pinky along to be his fool, but then, of course, somehow the tables turn where it makes it look like Pinky's the one who brought Brain in as the fool. And so it's like that was kind of a funny one. And then there's one where, like the first skit with Pinky and the Brain, and this one was pretty funny, where Pinky and the Brain get merged together with some kind of gene splicer incident. They were trying to use a teleporter, but they accidentally got their gene spliced. So Brain's head is like stuck to the back of Pinky's, and their minds are kind of taking over each other's. It's kind of funny. There's one where, I'd say one of the most standout ones, though, was the one where Brain, he had like this device that allowed him to kind of reset time. He was trying to use it as a scheme to like, I think he was trying to win like these basketball bets or something, and he kept like rewinding through time to keep typing in like the correct predictions, and so he could get all the winnings. But he kept doing it so much that it started altering the reality of time, and so a bunch of crazy stuff happens, and we even get some really cool art style changes at one point, and that was really fun. I loved that. But I think most are going to agree, though, although that one was a standout one, the one that a lot of people are probably going to say stood out the most, I've even already seen people on Twitter mentioning this, but the episode where they brought back Julia. From season 1, there was that one lab mouse that Brain originally mutated into being his basically his political wife, you know, so he could run for president. But then she became more popular and nearly got the presidency until Brain's plan kind of backfired. And so he ended up accidentally creating a dangerous threat. And so we see Julia return. She's more maniacal than ever. And I just got to say, Julia is just such an entertaining foil and villain for Brain. I love, like, the anti-chemistry they have with each other. It's like Julia's trying to be a replacement for another villain from Pinky and the Brain. In the original Pinky and the Brain series, not the Animaniacs skit, but the spin-off show, Pinky and the Brain, Brain had a rival called Snowball, I think was his name. He was a hamster, and he was just very forgettable. He was basically just like an exact clone of Brain, and it was just kind of boring to see him bouncing off like himself, you know? And so to have him bounce off someone who's like a worthy successor, one who's actually kind of crazy, in fact. And I thought that worked. I loved, creating this new villain for Brain, one who can outsmart him, or, it's like they worked off each other so well. I thought that was great. And they're teasing at you're probably going to see more of her down the line. So it's like, bravo. That was one complaint I had in the original series. I never felt like the characters had very good villains to go against, unless you count Pinky as a villain, because he's always usually messing things up. But I thought Julia, they did a great job at bringing her back and making her more menacing and more entertaining. That was definitely a standout episode. I do gotta give credit. Although Pinky and the Brain skits were never really my favorite in the series, I do think they had a great batch of them this season. So as for the Warners, though, it's like, I'd say the best one out of them is basically just a modernized version of the old classic Looney Tunes short, Duck Amuck, where the animator, who turned out to be Bugs Bunny, was messing with Daffy. You know, like, you saw him, the pencil that would constantly draw in or erase stuff, and Daffy's, like, being displeased with it. He just wants to star in a cartoon, the animator's messing with him. And so we get a modernized version with Yakko, and, that was really funny. I did get a good laugh out of that, and the ending just, like, threw me totally off. So you're thinking it's gonna totally copy off the ending of the original Duck Amuck and its Bugs Bunny successor, but no, it doesn't. So it's like in the original, you know, it's like the victim is getting so fed up that they demand the animator reveal themselves, and then it reveals their greatest nemesis. So For Daffy Duck, his nemesis was Bugs Bunny. For Bugs Bunny, it was Elmer Fudd. And so you're wondering, like, right when this cartoon starts, okay, who's Yakko's greatest enemy going to be? Is it going to be like Dr. Scratch and Sniff or the CEO or... But then it turns out it's just a random animator, like a random artist. And so it's just like a girl wearing a beanie cap and so like Yakko like pulls on the pencil and drags her into the cartoon, and then she apologizes for messing with him. She says she's actually a really big fan of him, and she does this to basically relieve herself from life stresses. And it's like, that's actually pretty relatable. There's a lot of artists who do that. It's like there's so many fans of whether it's Sonic the Hedgehog or Star Wars or things they grew up with. They just love to make funny art of it. Like drawing the characters in such pitiful situations just for fun. And it's a good way of relieving yourself of the struggles of life. It's just to have a laugh. And so I liked how they ended it like that, where, Yakko ends up forgiving the animator because it's like he realizes she's just an obsessed fan who didn't mean any harm upon him. And so then he makes a deal with her. He'll let her go on one condition, and so he then has her sabotage his villain. So all of a sudden you see like Scratch and Sniff, Ralph, and the CEO, like they're in separate cartoons, but then they're getting messed with because the artist is drawing in things. It's like, that was perfect. I did get a good laugh out of that. That was probably my favorite skit in the entire reboot so far. And yeah, that one was just brilliant. I think that was the first part of episode 6, but... So otherwise, most of the Warner shorts were more of the same, them messing with a historical figure. So I already mentioned they messed with Nero, and then there was one where they gave a good bashing, a well-deserved bashing to Christopher Columbus. They point out how, like, this man's really not worth celebrating, and I mean, this is something I've been pointing out for years, and only America's now starting to notice, but since, like, last year at least, but... and then I think it was part of the final episode, like the first half of it. The first half of that one had them messing with Benjamin Franklin, and they're basically pointing out how he took credit for everyone's ideas, and so they really tried making him pay for it because they came up with all his inventions and he stole it from them, and so they're sabotaging him, and it was kind of funny. But so otherwise, one complaint I did have with season 1 though was they got rid of their old boss, Mr. Plotz, I think it was, and they didn't really give an excuse for his absence. They kind of imply that maybe he died because all you see of him is a giant portrait of him in her office, kind of like implying that he was the previous owner. Because, I mean, that's very common in movies or storytelling or even real life. When someone's passed, they hang like a giant portrait of them on the wall in their memory, and so it implies that he died. He's not coming back. And so I remember complaining that I just really didn't see the point because I thought Plotz was kind of like a funny foil for them, He's just a grumpy old man who always complains, and it's kind of funny to see him get his comeuppance because of that. But so the CEO, she's just like this, stereotypical competitive feminist, like, she has to keep her figure, she's always right, everyone's wrong, she's smarter than everyone, she's kind of a bit crazy, and it's like they really didn't do much with her in season 1, so it really didn't leave an impression on me, and even then, they tried doing more of her this season, but she still didn't leave much of an impact. There's like one episode where she has like a daughter, and it's her Sweet 16, and the Warners managed to crash it, after she wants them to help out with it, but, because, she hired, like, her daughter's, like, really spoiled, so it's basically confirmed she's a terrible mother. She just thinks, instead of giving her daughter love and affection or attention, just keep buying her things, and so her daughter's a real spoiled brat, and so the CEO, is disappointed to find out the band she hired couldn't make it, but then she realizes that the Warners have musical talent because of all the songs they've sung in different skits, and so she wants them to pose as the band and, try to fool her daughter into thinking it's them, but eventually, they get exposed for being fakes at the party, and then the CEO turns her back on them and tries acting like she didn't actually hire them, and it's like, I almost thought I was gonna like this episode, because I did kind of get a laugh at the part where, like, Dot just, like, roasts the daughter for being such a spoiled brat, but then they tried going into a more sympathetic route towards the end, where Dot starts, trying to relate with the girl, and it just felt wrong, because this girl really didn't feel like she deserved it. She was just a whiny, spoiled brat who was complaining about everything, so I didn't like how they tried giving her a happy ending, Yeah, that was kind of a stupid episode. I almost thought I was gonna like it, but I hated the direction they took it. So, and then the finale definitely had a big part with the CEO. I think her name was Nora. And so the final episode was quite a strange one for this season. But so the Warners, they take a DNA test and they get the results and they find out they're related to Nora. And so right away you can tell, okay, this has got to be a mix-up. There's no way they're actually related to her. It's impossible. And so yeah, basically the episode ends with someone forcefully coming in and saying how the results are fake. But so the whole episode is basically where Nora's having a family reunion, and so you see how everyone's sucking up to try to win a competition held by their, I think it was their great-grandma or something, and so she's, basically getting ready to pass down her fortune, so she's very rich, she has like this big mansion, and so basically whoever controls that mansion controls Warner Brothers, and so Nora, she wants to keep this position, basically, because she's been introduced in the series as the new CEO of Warner Brothers, and judging by some of the decisions Warner Brothers has made over the years, it's like you can tell she wasn't a very good one. That kind of leads to the humor of what is coming up in the ending of this. But so, of course, the Warners, they just want to feel like they're part of the family, so they for once, they go to the reunion not to ruin it, but just because they genuinely want to get to know their great-grandma, who they think it is. And so, of course, she ironically starts warming up to them, and right when the Warners are about to be given the rights to the mansion and Warner Brothers and all that, one of the DNA testers comes in and reveals that the results were fake. It's so... you think they're going to have, like, some real anticlimactic, random, or unexplained ending, but then they reveal who the actual heir was, and it was Ralph, the security guard. And so I'll admit, that was actually kind of funny. So this random, bumbling security guard we've seen throughout the entire series, including the original, it turns out not only was he related to Nora, but apparently he's the heir, so the great-grandma decides to pass it down to him, because he reminds her so much about, her brother, so apparently he's the son of her brother, I guess, or something like that, I don't know, but, so Ralph inherits the fortune, he's now in charge of Warner Brothers, so you see him just, like, listing all these movies he wants to be produced, and so you could also say that's kind of a joke on how scrambled Warner Brothers is, like, so, like, if a lot of people are wondering, like, why was Space Jam 2 such a clustered mess of mixed IPs, probably Ralph was behind that. I kind of wish they did have a name drop in there. Like, they should have him say, "No, I want a sequel to Space Jam," or, but... so the Warners are uncertain about their future now, because they point out, like, so Ralph's in charge now, so what's Season 3 gonna be like? And then they start questioning, is Season 3 even gonna happen? And then the show just abruptly ends, but we already know Season 3 is happening, so it kind of makes that teaser of a cliffhanger a little outdated, but I'm kind of glad you can take it lightly now, because yes, the show will come back, but who knows when. It might take longer, because hard to believe that Season 2 only came out a year after the first, and both seasons only had 13 episodes, with usually about, like, 3 to 4 skits in each, about 22-minute episodes each, and so, yeah, overall, I really did enjoy Season 2. There were a few bland episodes, though, very forgettable ones where it's like you just watch it and it's like, okay, that was kind of a waste of time. I really don't remember anything of it, but if there is one thing I will give praise to for Season 2, though, even over Season 1, it's the song numbers. I remember, like, just seeing some of the songs in Season 1, it's like the only memorable one, in my opinion, was, like, the reboot song, and it's like that was the only one that was kind of catchy and funny, but the others were just kind of... not necessarily bad, but you could argue that the visuals were more entertaining than the actual songs, but... So Season 2, it had some really good and even catchy musical numbers. Like, I was tapping my foot to some of them. Like, Yakko got 2 really good songs in this. One of them was kind of like a sequel to the Yakko's Universe song, where in that one he was kind of singing about, like, the cosmos, the planets, and how it makes our world and all that. And so in this one, they were doing a parody of the show Shark Tank, and so he was passing off a way to travel to different exoplanets and go on a vacation there. And so he's singing about all the possibilities of the activities and life you can find on these planets. And that was really catchy. I really did get a laugh out of that. It felt more like a successor to Yakko's universe, but it felt more where Yakko's universe was based more on scientific fact. This one's based more on science fiction, I guess, and I thought it was still really fun. Very catchy number. And then once again, another one of the really good songs from this was another Yakko song, and this one is very similar to the one I just mentioned, except Yakko singing about the possibilities of evolution. And the skit for it had a pretty funny intro. Had to do with the Warners getting attacked by aliens, and they point out how they were, spying on Earth for all these years, and they saw, like, Yakko's video of him on YouTube singing about, like, the world, all the continents and stuff like that. And so they want Yakko to explain how life began, basically. And so Yakko basically sings a parody of, like, the Big Bang Theory, evolution, and it was pretty funny. I did get a laugh out of that one. And so, yeah, the musical numbers were great. Rob Paulsen, as always, does, like, a terrific job voicing Yakko with his singing voice. And, yeah, I don't think, Dot and Wacko didn't get as many songs as they did in, like, the original series or even season 1. They did get a few, like, vocals here and there, but without a doubt, Yakko stole the show, like always, and he just did a great job. And so, yeah, I'm sorry, I was probably talking for nearly 30 minutes here, but, yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the Animaniacs Season 2 reboot. It may not be perfect, though. There are definitely things I would have changed up a bit, but it was a good continuation of what Season 1 introduced. It wasn't like a big improvement, but it wasn't a huge disappointment. It was another mixed bag. When it was good, but when it was meh, it was meh. There were definitely some jokes that didn't land. So, like, if you're tired of meta humor, like, if you're tired of, like, fork dance flossing, well, tough luck. You're gonna see, Pinky doing a floss dance at one point, so that might be kind of a bit of an eye roller, but when it's funny, it's funny. When it's cringy, but I guess that's Animaniacs for you. And, overall, I enjoyed it, though. I guess I should mention one last skit, though. One that actually did kind of get a laugh out of me, just because of the little detail at the bottom. But, so, there's one skit where it starts off where the Animaniacs are making a parody of, like, one of those YouTube apology videos. So something that usually a creator does when they really messed up, like they really offended they usually have to sit in front of a blank background and say they are really sorry to the audience, and then whether it's a forced speech or fake speech, or, they always have to fake an apology just to try to get people's back on their side and all that. And so, if anything, a lot of people know how the Animaniacs, both the characters and even the writers, are unapologetic. They will roast whatever they want, and they will not apologize for it. And so, it's kind of funny how for once you see them, like, sitting down, they're about to apologize. So it makes you think, like, they're going to apologize for everyone they ever made fun of, both in the current show and even in the original. But then they totally throw it out the window, because it's like, when they're told what they're supposed to apologize for, they start questioning, what are we apologizing for? So, and then they start throwing more insult, like they eventually bring up an insult about Ralph the bodyguard, and then they start roasting him more, and then they eventually start, like, making fun of the audience. But what made this one so funny to me, though, is how, like, when it started, you can see, like, how at the lower right corner of the screen, you can see, like, a typical heart monitor, like, on YouTube. So if people like it, they'll give it hearts, and if they don't like it, they'll give it a frowny face. And so I kind of liked how, as the video started off, you saw, it showed, like, the totals of how many viewers were joining the live stream. And so you saw how the hearts were slowly increasing, and then you saw how the dislike ratio was getting a few dislikes here and there. But I loved how, like, when the Warner started getting offensive, and then they, all of a sudden you saw, like, people were taking back their likes, and then you saw how the dislike meter was just piling up by the thousands. That was really funny. Not sure how many people might have caught that, but that's the main reason I thought that skit was funny, just because of the counter, how quickly it went from getting likes to dislikes. That was pretty funny, in my opinion. I did get a laugh out of that. So yeah, Animaniacs Season 2, it was overall a decent package. Some meh ones, like I said, but some good ones, and I really don't know why it has a TV-14 rating, though. I have to wonder if that was an accident, because it's PG. It's PG. There's nothing TV-14 about it. It's arguably it is a lot tamer than season 1 of the reboot, and hell, you could probably even say it might be tamer than the original Animaniacs, the one that was TVY7. But you could give that a pass though, because that was made in the 90s, and you know, some people are arguing how the 90s need to get more progressive, or I don't know, but overall, yeah, I enjoyed season 2 and I recommend it. Well, that's all I have to show for now. Thank you for watching. See you next time and have a great day.